You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box on a full moon Sunday evening. Full moon in Virgo. One of my signs, actually. I have a Virgo moon, so just I keep track of the coincidences with the realities that are going on, true to form. Interesting post, wonderful post from Equicentric. Yes, you. Yeah, it was a good post. I love this because I just was quickly reading through it and saw all of the now moments that are occurring. So I'll go through it and give my rendition of the same thing. It was a post that was put in the Skype room, in one of the Skype rooms anyway. I will do my best to share. So it's a full moon today, yes, and it's a full worm moon. And we all know what a Trojan worm is. It's the horse that goes into the computer, and just like Trojan War fashion, remember it was Helen of Troy, and Helen was the sister of the trinity of her siblings, Castor and Pollux. So just another coincidence. Now, March, as the temperature begins, remember March is also Mark, which is Welsh for horse. We're dealing with the mark of the beast, the law of Mark. We've illustrated so many ways how the mark of the beast appears, and humanity is walking around with the mark of the beast, which on Friday night I was able to, live on air, show the mark of the beast, what it looks like when it's not there. And those that want to try to control others lose all power on all levels. That's what it means to be your own master. I don't follow orders. I don't give them. I don't need to. I just choose my path as I see fit, one of no harm, and which is always open to conjecture, but that's typically the realm of the ego. It's simply put, my intention, I know my own heart. I know the benevolence within me, and I know my intention, and not one single being outside of me can tell me otherwise, because, well, I am this point of view, not yours. So that's where I sit. That's where I stay. And like I said, I don't need anyone to believe anything I say, and I would challenge everyone to not believe anything I say and go and see for yourself. I would spend a bit of time on the website, kateofgaia.wordpress.com, do some reading and see what you find that resonates with you, because those are things written, directed to you use the physical to read it, but it's directed straight to the spirit. So full worm moon, there goes the Trojan into the mark of the beast. March is also Aries, Mars, Aries, which is the ram, and also Aries, the god of war, Roman god of war. Same sound, two different intents, right? Arise or ares, it's all in the phonics, guys. I can't stress this enough. Anyway, so as March, the temperature begins to warm, things are heating up, and the ground begins to thaw. Earthworm casts appear, which is the indication of the shedding of the old and the new life coming forth, and I'm talking the new spiritual life. Always remember, I'm speaking from an anagogic, outside-the-box perspective to see what effects are being played out in the physical that are mirroring the cause of the spiritual changes. Everything that happens in the physical is the effect, and people get caught up in it by getting into the dramas and staying at effect within the effect instead of looking within themselves and starting to see from a slightly broader perspective. So the earthworms cast off, earthworm casts appear, heralding the return of the robins. Oh yeah, absolutely. The more northern tribes knew the moon as the full crow moon, or as you would see the root of fulcrum, which is balance. The fulcrum is the center point, right? So the full crow, and of course we've talked about the crow or the crown, allegory of the magic, that when you start seeing it, you start seeing the cosmic joke for what it is. This is the crow N, or the crown corporation, which is allegorized in when you give up your consent. And it's all about spiritual. If you agree with something, you're in contract. It doesn't matter what piece of paper you use. If your intent is to do something, you've already sealed the contract with your intent. That's why I keep my intent to me. I intend only the things that I need for growing, because I know the more I take care of what it is inside me, it takes care of more of what's outside of me. So that's where the service to all really comes into play. So it's a selfish selflessness and a selfless selfishness within. It's the mirror opposite of each other, making it neutral. So the full crow moon, right? Fulcrum. And that's what we're in right now. We're right at the tip point, and this game is done, because here we go into St. Pat's, driving out the serpents. Well, we're going to drive them all out for a change, instead of what the original intent of that was. The serpents are gone. When the cawing of crows, there's the cause of crows, crone, signaled the end of winter, or the full crust moon, because the snow cover becomes crusted from thawing by day and freezing at night. That is the shimmering of the veil. That is where the veil is most fragile, between worlds. Start smashing it. Smash that. It's the thinnest veil, so push through. The full sap moon, marking the time of tapping maple trees, is another variation, right? And all of these things will all play into the same story, and it's only one story. You're just playing out your role in your particular version of that. To the settlers, it was also known as the Lenten moon, and was considered to be the last full moon of winter. Yes, it is. This is the last full moon of winter of the spirit. And I'm sure many of you are looking around and noticing some very profound changes in the world. Things like aircraft missing and bankers suiciding, and it's rather interesting to see the effects of the causal of the truth, that when enough truth gets exposed, that's how evil gets destroyed. Evil must by definition destroy itself. So as I always say, I like to give it a little push. I happen to be driving a rather large bulldozer, and I push. That being said, I had an opportunity to watch a good portion of Robert Morningsky's video that I've been talking about, and it is, for me, it's beyond mind-blowing because of the correlations, things that I've seen bits and pieces of this one before, but in this new unit of now, it is an entirely different perspective, of course, because as we get our aha moments and build our universe bridge of H to A, upside down A to H to A to upside down A to H to A, etc. That's the aha moments. No, it's not a coincidence. It's a coincidence to show that's how you build your DNA bridge. And only with the truth can you build that bridge. The more you seek the truth, the more aha moments you get, the more DNA bridging you get, and you get it returned. The stuff that's turned off, this is how you turn your DNA back on spiritually. The DNA is everything in this reality is energy. It's created energy. It's the effect from the magnetic source. So yes, in the physical, it's an electric universe, but it's all created from the magnetic source. And everything you see, experience in the physical sense is all effect. And we create cause and effect back and forth in the physical sense without ever paying any attention to the spiritual nature of it. I could get into lots of different scenarios as far as knowing when someone has actually digested truths that are contained, that I've found anyway, and I know a lot of people resonate. This is why I look to the outside to see what is resonating back, to make sure that I'm staying on the right course, because I'm going to use only what feels right, and most of the time what feels right flies right in the face of what this insane world would deem to be normal. So I chose to not be that. I chose to look at it from a 180-degree perspective. So I look at this planet as being completely insane, with a bunch of egos that are schizophrenic, imprinting egos that are schizophrenic, watching the chaos unfold, watching the emotional dramas unfold, and stand back in awe of it, going, interesting, knowing why. It's simply an out of control emotional program, and the ego will never get this until you get a grip on it. And if you can't get a grip on it, well, enjoy the round trip. That's just kind of how it works. So the end game isn't for everybody. And I do like to motivate people with that as well. You got a choice. You want to walk through and get out, or are you happy doing the Groundhog Day and having this as yet another deja vu moment for you where, I've heard this before. Yeah, me too. You see, the point of consciousness you're at now, in the now that you're in, means that you're still in the game. You're still in the now timeline. And what you do in the now timeline determines whether you stay mortal or go immortal. And that's two paths. So you can choose whichever one you want. The more you cling to the physical and the survival and the whatever else that is binding you, until you can accept the simple truth of physical, I haven't got time for it. I just don't. It's, again, illustrative of the, how do you put this? Physical to me is only a representation of the energies, and I only see the energies. Everything that I see around me is, yes, it's very physical, it's very real. It's very easy to prove. All you got to do is tap on something. But don't get stopped at that. That is a vibrational, that is a frequency stopped. That's electricity held in place, and it's vibrating much slower than you, because you're moving very quickly, and that's the illusion of time and space. We can have things stop to give us the illusion of time. And the more solid something is, the more stopped it is. And I'm not really in the mood to be stopping anymore, right? Because, well, they say chance favors a body in motion, right? Or a body, like Newton said, a body in motion tends to stay in motion. So, and a body at rest tends to stay at rest until you give it a kick in the ass. And me, I walk around giving proverbial kicks in the ass all the time, apparently, and to the chagrin of many, many egos. And that's okay, because it's like this. If I can't expose it to see it for myself, because I'm looking as well, right, in terms of contrast, but I'm also looking to get rid of that crap that's all over the windshield of the most beautiful essence in the universe, you. And I've lost count. I've lost count of how many egos get uptight about having their window cleaned at all. But getting back to Robert Morningsky, I really am hoping to have a chance to converse with him at some time. We speak the same language. I just take it in a slightly different perspective, but listening to him in this video is so fluid for me, because I'm translating on the fly as to what it means, how it correlates my now, to see what has been accomplished, and we have accomplished a lot, like crazy. Like even that one post that Equicentric put up, that to me is a now confirmation that yes, the full moon, the end of winter, the veils shattering, and that's happening in consciousness constantly now. There is no stopping. I also reposted that link for Friday night show on Facebook. For those that are on my Facebook, I would urge you to pass it around for anyone that still thinks that they need any form of identification to prove that they're a slave. Even the mere utterance of a name can be assumed, as you don't know who you are. I'm just me. I don't need any labels. I'll give references for people to address me or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, I'll answer or respond to someone that is saying something to me, but I'm not going to be in any form of a spiritual contract with anyone, knowing full well what this place is all about. So, and Friday night was a prime example of that. I have no wish for conflict, and the only conflict that anyone will ever have is the one that they're fighting within themselves. Anytime you want to figure out what you need to sort out within yourself is when anytime you go outside of yourself to make a judgment. Not an observation. They're two entirely different things. You can make an observation or you can make a judgment. Observation is neutral. It's a mere statement of facts versus an accusation, a statement of accusation. And those are night and day. The energy and the intent contained within the accusation is the mirror that you need to look into. And that was a very hard mirror for me, and I keep constantly paring away anything that pops its head up. And the job is getting easier. The more truth you uncover, the more things you see, the more magic that starts to dazzle you right in front of your eyes, which is very hard for anyone that's been in this game for any length of time to grasp, because they've been beaten down for so long. They have no concept of how powerful and God they are, because you are that pure essence of all, in an individuated point of a photon or fa tone, heart tone, the sound of the heart. Because remember, the light is the effect of the magnetic darkness. The light comes out of the dark, right? The light is the result, the effect. You, the pure magnet, are the cause. And when you get into the silence of self in the deep dark, where you turn the brain off, do not try to stop thinking, because even the thought of trying to stop is a thought itself. Just sit back, and I'm sure you've all had this opportunity where your mind was empty and you weren't thinking about anything, and you might have seen waves of color go across your eyes when they're closed, and you might have seen some shapes forming, and you might have seen some panoramas that, occluded, not really there, but you can see them, and you can hold these pictures for a little bit, and then they disappear, and then something else changes. But that's what the right brain is when, imagine when you close your eyes, look into the darkness, look into yourself, and that's as simple as just looking, getting the concept, and look to see what you can find, look to see what hidden treasures are there that show you. And it doesn't take long. As soon as you put your intention onto just looking, all I had to do was look. And it's in "You're the Sun to Me." It's in the song. I listen back to some of the stuff, and it's all right there. This is why I know that we know all things. It's just a level of awareness that we're at when we do the things we do. What is the intention behind it? And you'll see so many more layers that are peeled off when you see that contrast. And it's only when you see the contrast will you ever begin to see who and what you truly are. If there's a fist fight going on within inside of you, there will be one going on outside of you. And it really is as simple. I covered it pretty well in spiritual contracts. A spiritual contract is anything that you mentally agree with. No further action required. The fact that you intended to sign a signature on a loan, that contract was already signed in your mind by agreeing to do it, long before you picked up the pen, long before you walked into the office to even ask for that loan. So be careful what you're contracting with. And these are the contracts that you need to nullify. And look throughout your life. It doesn't matter how long you've been playing this game in this particular round, but look at all of the things that we have been through our society conditioned into doing because every one of the other lemmings is doing it. Not a good idea. We all know what happens to lemmings that follow lemmings. They don't have a happy ending. Occasionally one or two will survive if they don't hit the rocks. You can take your chances if you want. Everything for me is a complete unison of James T. Kirk, Spock, and Uhura all at the same time, where everything is a calculated observation with pure intent for an outcome that is my intention, not allowing for chaos. Out of the chaos within me, I create that singularity, that intention. And that being said, well, let's get these mics open tonight, and see we have Janet on, and let's get this table just a rolling, shall we?
Hello, beautiful.
Hey, beautiful. Mirror, mirror.
Yeah. Sound good. I'm having a really good day.
Excellent.
Listening and writing everything down. And I did have one moment that I'll share real quick. I was playing around with the Coptic key, and I wrote it on the palm of my hand because I was just messing around outside. And I walked into my sister's place, and she had a tapestry on, and I sat down, and right in front of me, and it was of these ships, and on the border, looking right at me, it was 2 8-spoked wheels that were, the whole thing is just like a trip. It's just like,
yeah, it starts to,
Coptic keys, yeah, just what you were just talking about.
It starts to look like an acid trip, and you haven't touched anything.
Yeah. And after the show last night, I walked in, and she was watching in Woodstock Unrated, and the being that was talking said, "You want to see the center of the universe?" I mean, right to me, right when I walked in the door, and I was like, "Whoa, yeah."
Well, that's you.
I do.
Yeah, and you'll never guess how to get there. Get deep, get dark,
up.
Get quiet. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
The left brain monkey chatterers, though, and I know I've been there. I know exactly what's going on, and it'll keep you insane. It'll keep driving you in circles. Not a good idea, you know.
No.
Not a good idea.
Not at all. No.
But yeah, so what you're seeing are your clues that are coinciding with your thoughts. And this is what happens when you start trusting your intuitive and your thoughts. Think of something and then look around and see where it is, because it's there. You will see it. It will show up.
Yeah, I'm noticing that so much. And just like, I didn't think I'd ever be back here again at Stillwater Creek. You know, it's like a complete circle. So it's like really strange.
Well, there you go.
You were here.
Yeah. Completing the full circle, right?
Right.
From here to there is a long, long way. We've gone full circle. That's the opening line of a song I wrote called Full Circle back in 1992. Yeah. Yeah. From here to there is a long, long way. We've gone full circle. So now it's time to break that circle and expand beyond. One of the comments that Robert Morningsky made, and I've brought this up a lot of times, anytime you see the light, you know, they talk about go to the light, go into the light. That's exactly where you don't want to go. What you want to do is you want to do 180 degrees and look, and then you'll see the light. Go to that light, for that is you. That is your source. That's the generation of light that you're creating. And the signal that's coming from you is being distorted in this place of soul trap. Time to check out a Hotel California and leave, eh?
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah.
You know, a much bigger universe out there. Like, think about it. Here we are walking around on a planet relying completely on technologies to get us off the ground, to get us across the water, across land, and all the rest of it. And I don't know about you, that seems to be a very, very, very limited perspective in terms of physical.
Totally.
You know, it's a difference between walking across North America, driving across, taking a train, or flying. Or teleportation instantly, right? And speaking of which, one of the, again, I look for little clues, and I always like to go out on the limb to be the one that throws the spoke in the wheel of carrot illusions. And it was all right there in with regards to continually selling the physical realm. And it came out with, as soon as I see fear porn attached to anything, it's like, oh yeah, this is just cosmic joke. The thing that came out about MT Keshi, my life is in danger, and because I've released this information, and they're creating all this fucking drama around it, and it's like I look at that, well, there it is right there, MT Kishi.
Yeah, I saw what you wrote. That made perfect sense. I was like, yeah. In the name.
Yeah, it's all in the name. There's the path, right? So if you want to keep playing the biting on the carrots of the physical, go ahead. I'm done. I'm finished with that. This is why I look at things the way I do. Well, it is, and I look back over my own track record of coming out against some of the things that were, in terms of the group, the truther movement and everything else is concerned, and I come out completely 180 degrees against it, knowing full well it's just another COINTELPRO spirit harvesting attempt. And that's all this MT Keshi is, right? The MT Kishi.
Right.
Again, trying to convince you that somehow something in the physical is more dazzling than you. You are the infinite energy of the universe. Maybe get back there instead of handing that off all the time.
Oh yeah, I remember reading in your tablets about that exact same thing. That's what came so clear to me, was just can't find any answers outside, so just look inside and you'll find everything.
What you will see outside are the effects of the things that you're thinking inside. This is the power you all wield. This is what I keep telling people all the time. I watch it myself in the things that I'm doing. I'm watching my own reality shift accordingly. And why am I on the air every single night? Because I love to do this? No.
Yeah, I know. It's joy. I mean, it's so gratifying to do some good work and to, do something that really, really matters. It's like such a breath of fresh air. It's like,
well, here's the
question. Really matters right now.
Right. Now, here's the question I challenge to all. I was talking with Jim earlier about this. Would anyone out there, given the situations of where you are and whatever position you're in, would any one of you swap roles with me?
I would.
Well, see, you're smart.
Yeah, you come a long way, baby.
Right? But there are many. It's like, could you?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to speak third party, so this is third party to everybody. Could you just walk away from everything you've got and give complete faith to the universe, and do this every single day, where you are literally a slave to truth, which I don't mind. Truth to me is what it's all about to get out of here. And yeah,
That's easy.
I'm getting there. So for me, there is no alternative. There is only home. Third star to the right, straight on till morning.
Yep.
But how many people would give up their comfort, not knowing where they're going to be from one day to the next, not knowing if there was going to be anything there to support them. I mean, and I'm not talking in a physical. See, that's the problem with the ego, because it goes to the automatic.
Physical stuff.
Yeah, and it's not about that. It's not.
Uh-uh.
I will find myself where I am, and I got to tell you, I'm a professional drifter that is able to bring things to others. You see, the whole thing about Friday night was everything that would be anyone would deem to be mine are things that are being dispersed to all. They're not my possessions.
Right,
they're not mine.
None.
They belong to all, So when something shows up that's needed somewhere, oh, you need that. Okay, here we go. Oh, you need that. Here we go.
So beautiful, yeah.
You know, and whatever
just
is needed.
Living your life like a song. It's so great.
Well, yeah. And I got to tell you, I wrestle with it every day.
Yeah.
I'm pushing through some seriously hard walls right now, and I'm breaking through. And it's definitely taking its toll on me, that's for sure. Well, the body doesn't like it too much, but the spirit's giggling like a 12-year-old schoolgirl.
Yeah, the spirit likes it, the body, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The body does not like this.
Oh.
You know. And again, the body is just energy, so what I'm doing is just, you cannot destroy energy, you can just transform it from one thing to another, right? It changes, it morphs. So for me, this is about morphing that energy into something critical, something positive, and something far less solid.
Totally worth it.
Yep. The last Mimsy, baby.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you and me tonight. What's going on with everybody? Come on, get your hands up.
I don't know.
Well, I'm glad. You know, Jen.
Yeah,
you jump in all the time. I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you.
I look forward to it so much. Just to get to the table, that's my big thing. And then, you know, I love sitting just listening to anyone that calls in. Everyone has so much to share and so many beautiful things to say.
Oh, and speaking of, all the ladies tonight, Joe Tara from Croix Trippa down under. Joe, how are you?
Excellent. Really good. How are you? Excellent, too. For me, it's a beautiful start to the day. This is my morning, so, you know, I get up and I go for a walk and meditate or just connect, do cards, and then I go, oh, Kate's on now, so I sit down, and it's such a way of creating a space for the day. So, you know, I listen in. A lot of the time I just have nothing to say. You know, I'm just listening to everybody and resonating. And, you know, there's many a time that you think, oh, I can relate to that. But it's like, it's just my breadcrumb trail. It's okay. I don't need to say it.
You're clicking it within.
Yeah, that's it. And then there's times where you go, oh, like there, I heard you just say, you know, come on, where is everyone? All right. All right, I'm coming.
Hey, that's good. I love your voice.
Yeah, and what else you can do on Monday morning, right? Come on. And you mentioned something very critical. My cards are my map. They tell me exactly what I need to do, when I need to do it, and all I got to do is ask. And I'll tell you, sometimes they're not easy to look at and go, okay, so I got to move that. All right, I got it. Because you can see the final outcome, and you can choose. Those are the two paths, right? So if the final outcome would be deemed to be a polarized negative, well, then you can polarize it to the positive by choosing that's basically the heads up, and also something that's positive that you want as the outcome, you maintain what the cards say to get that outcome. And like like I was saying about Friday night, when I was shuffling the deck on Friday morning, just finished the last. I shuffle 7 times, and then or 7 shuffles 3 times, 21. And just when I did the last one, a card jumped out, and of course that's always a universe clue for me. Okay, and I turn it over. I might as well read what the card is, and I call this one the damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right, it's a catch-22 card, 10 of Swords, right? But you're going to get your biggest lessons out of it. So that's exactly why I look at it and go, well, damned if I do, damned if I don't. What's my option? And of course, when I did the full spread, Percival came out, and that's the Wanderer. So let's go. So what the meaning of the 10 of Swords is. Troubles, conflict, the underlying animosity of the past gives way to an all-out offensive. Yeah, I think that was pretty effective on Friday night. The climax and end of a chapter. Yep, that works.
Yeah.
This card generally indicates strife and division within a community. Oh yeah. Unfortunate events spark intense conflict, a showdown, the clash of ideas, release and the destruction of the old order. Yeah, that pretty much all fits, doesn't it? The inevitable exhaustion of a cycle gives way to a new era. Guys, the system is fucking done.
Yeah, they said the Phoenicians over the
airwaves.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
So that was my get out of the gate card for Friday morning. So my path was set on that card. There was no choice. Go.
Yep, you know it's coming. Something's coming, and I'm capable more than.
You know, and
I think Friday night when it was all happening, and I said to my son, "Look, listen to this." You know, I said the police are right there with Kate at the moment, and it was the whole of that talk was peaceful, enlightening. The energy that was around that whole session, that whole time at the table there, that whole experience you're going through. For me, I just felt completely at peace. You know, there's that. Yeah. That transmuting of what you were doing with the energy as it was happening, and then you were reading the letters and what they meant. And my son and I, we had the computer up and we had it upside down, looking at letters and what they could mean. And while these people are at the sideline, you know, filtering around the energy. So it's like it just continued. It just flowed. That was the transformation. That was the power. That complete presence, while something like that was going on. That's how far that energy has no creation anymore. It's like walking up to the bubble that we've got in this new dimension that we exist in, and just tapped in, had a look, and there's my dog going.
Yeah. Well, it's the impenetrable bubble, and I want to make sure that everyone knows, like, Friday night, that's yours, baby. That's all. Everyone that was at the table with us that night, that was ours. That was a collective, you're done, you know.
Yeah, very powerful. I loved that my son, like just then, we start homeschool in the morning, you know, and I said to my son just before he came on board, what do you want to do today? Because there's no way of teaching. It's the old consciousness. It's not possible. What do you feel like doing today? Want to listen to Kate? And he goes, yeah, that'd be good. I go, okay, this is the number, and he's got his phone in there. He's listening now in his room to this. I was like, oh. And then when we're listening to your chat, I thought, where else could you sit as a schooling old thought, but you know, as a schooling process, as a remembering really. So for him to be here at the table, right as we're speaking, as a process of creation, nothing else exists. How can you teach anybody anything? It doesn't compute.
Yeah. Well,
only
you're
experience truth, you know.
Well, you see, and you're at that beautiful crossroads where you know that everything within the system is absolute shite, all Rockefeller based, right? The Rockefeller pharaohs. What are you going to teach? History? What are you going to teach? English grammar? What is the point? Because we know it's all corrupt. And the only thing that can happen now, as far as I can see, is for people to just put off the old. It's all a load of shit, and we're going to be dealing this. Effectively, what we're doing is setting up planetary Gnostic school. That's what's happening right now. I mean, really, what can you teach?
It's the illusion. No, nothing. It's madness. Like it's the madhouse. We've been here for 4 years, homeschooling, and left literally because we knew that system was completely corrupted, and made that decision to sell up and move and completely away from everything so that we could. And it's been a wonderful journey to go, let go, and we never teach history. We do practical hands-on, what they like to do, science or we did the spirit science videos online. Anything that he really wants that he's attracted to is what we just supply for him, So it's been a great journey, and to listen to the mainstream people, what do you do? Where's he going to get his degree from? How's he going to? And we just don't tell them anymore. We just tell them what they need to hear and do our own thing, So we never really did tell them in the first place because we knew it wasn't going to be a consciousness that most people could grasp. But yeah, there was no other way. So it's...
Well, if I was going to start up homeschooling, the only thing I would be teaching right now is the understanding of the Coptic key to decode all of the literal world into its allegorical anagogic proof as to that you are in fact all creation itself. That's the only thing that I would be teaching. How to decode the Coptic key, the phonics. And that's it. Because everything else is illusion. Everything is illusion. I'm only going to deal with the interpretation of that illusion back to truth instead of being caught up in the quagmire of the lies of a system built around us to deceive us, to blind us, and deafen us. Area code 956, I'm going to bring you in. Just want to let you know. And keep going, Tara, or Joe, rather. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? Because everything else in the system is nonsense. It's pure. In the literal sense, it's absolute shite. In the spiritual sense, it's pure truth. But you got to learn how to read it.
It's perfect for where he's at, and he hears it. They hear it. As I said, my daughter, one of my daughters, they all were classified as dyslexic, so they all were never programmed in the system to be able to read anyway. And one of them, she has no capacity to hold a letter. Everything twists and turns on her, and she just creates her own world around how she wants to see. So she's never been programmed. Jai's only got an element of that in him, but because he's so open to everything and he resonates with the truth and he knows what the table's at. So now using the Coptic key, it's like, okay, that reinforced it for me. Finding his path with that and helping him listen here so that he can find his breadcrumb trails, not me teaching him. I tell him mine, but that doesn't. That's a mum too saying, oh yeah, and he's like, okay, well, then he'll get his perception of that and go off and use it. So.
And you're not imprinting when you do that, huh? It's the joy of this. You're not imprinting. What you're doing is it's like handing someone the key to a car and letting them drive the car themselves. You're not driving them and showing them, hey, well, you stop here and you do this and that, and you have to do this and have to do that and have to do the other, and this, you better get this right, you get a big X and all the rest of it. What you're doing is literally handing over the key to their own car so they can drive their own spiritual vehicle. And that's what the Coptic key for me is. It is the ultimate release of the illusion. All you got to do is turn it. Makes total sense to me.
And I get that really clearly with it totally, because how can I ever know someone's journey? How can I ever know where he's supposed to be? Then I become his authority. I decide. That means, I'm taking his path away from him. So it's not possible. It's not possible, to choose that. Even sitting here, I was just saying to my husband earlier, it's his choice where he wants to go, what he wants to do. It's my husband's choice to do what they do. It's dropping that whole program that I, what do you want to do? Let's do this. We should be doing that. There's all that. It's not possible. So that you can only neutralise it, stay present. And we've been here for 4 years, and we have this beautiful spot where we've given ourselves the opportunity to be able to neutralise, stay still on what it is. I used to always say, I always want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. People ask me, what do you do? What I want to do when I want to do it. That's a slap in the face to most people. They desire that, but, the consciousness of it, and then to actually touch into it and feel it, just by even hearing it, it's a eye-opener for most people.
Well, yeah.
And that's why we hate being told. We hate being told. Everybody hates being told what to do. There's this real rejection to it because we already know. We've just forgotten that that's our natural state. And so, deprogramming, as you say, the grammar. I really got that the other day. Programmer. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, pro-crammer too, right? Cramming the garbage in. And something else. Now, I urge everyone, especially at this table, to I haven't got the link handy, but all you have to do is Google Robert Morning Sky, and the video I'm referring to is 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 18 seconds long. So look for it's on YouTube, so look for that video and dedicate 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 18 seconds to it. And be prepared to have your jaws dropped, especially for anyone that looked at his stuff before and revisiting it in a Coptic now. It will melt your mind. Seriously, it is that powerful.
Okay. There's the next step in this school curriculum.
There you go. And you see, and these are the beautiful tools, because what Robert does in this video is he reminds us, as so many of us have known for so long, that we know all this and that our real path was corrupted and it was hidden, and the DNA being what it is in the physical can be programmed. It can be reprogrammed. It can be made to forget. It can be erased, right? So that when you talk about only 96% of the DNA is junk, that's because it has been turned off. If you want to start turning that back on, all you have to do is seek truth. And you better seek it at all costs, because it's only going to cost you your soul. Physical, yeah, meat sticks come and go. Well, that's the old paradigm. With me, I'm in the now and I'm staying in the now. That's what immortality is. And when you start regaining the control of the energies, my feeling is very simple. It is. When you start turning on enough of the DNA, that's when the energy shift and you're not as dense and you're able to manipulate the energies. And for me, that was what was removed, our ability to manipulate those energies and create at will. And Robert does such a beautiful job in this. And that video was 18 years old, so consciousness now. There you go. There is no such thing as history. All it is a reflection of the now, as you're in the now. So I decode everything in the now. If I'm watching a movie, I watch a movie like I'm listening to the news. Oh, what's shifting? What have I done? What do I need to do? And while that will sound absolutely insane to the insane here that think just being entertained is normal, that works for me. And these are the walls that I push through, the ones that have been so deeply ingrained, so deeply programmed into that DNA, to break them free, to bust those away and reopen that conduit, reopen that connection. And the Coptic key, sound, phonics, just taking a word. Look at the word. Words. Roman legion. Well, let's say it a little different. How about a Roman leg ion? Like a leg iron. What about a Roman galley? That's the hex of the all-I, G all-I, right? What do you have on Roman leg irons on a Roman slave to slay the truth? Hex of the all-I, right? Bunch of slaves. Others that slay the truth. And when you start seeing it, this universe starts reading like a comic book. You start to see the magic. Right? And now look at all of the ones that are so deeply embedded in the program that all they can do is follow little books, little codes, and little radio signals from their masters telling them to sit, roll over, play dead. What kind of an existence is that? And there'll be people out there, and that's an honorable thing, right? And I love to celebrate it. I tell you, look, just as an example. Typically 500 people and I don't want to get negative here. I just want to show a contrast. 500 people get killed in custody every year. Yet when a cop dies, there's a big parade. No charges on the 500 that kill. Well, they've consented to be dead anyway, so who cares? And of course, it's a parade of honor and bagpipes and full uniform and whatever. It's crazy. They even did that for one of the guys that decided to take on one of those street graders. That's real bright. Well, he got military honors, that one. It's like, please. Look how retarded our planet is. We celebrate those that are harming us, and most of them unknowingly. And it's okay, apparently. Well, not to me, it isn't. To me, that's just
not.
Pure insanity.
Bullshit. Yeah.
And they'll dramatize it in the literal in movies. Like, seriously, anytime you watch something regarding a court scene in a movie, of course I look at it differently now. I can see what's going on, and it's really funny. But you've got people that actually think that's real. That's why I said when that Judge Bow's video came out, one of these court scenes is not like the others, right? One of these court scenes does not belong. You've never seen that on TV, and I watched people spin out with it. It's like, yeah, I was there. It's like, yeah, it was pretty wild for me too. But I didn't even realize it till later. It didn't hit me, and actually the fact of it coming out the way it did took 3 days for it to sink in. That wow, based on the hits, I think I've changed the world a little here. and
it's funny how it has that delay reaction.
Yeah. Well, that is the ingrained doubt of the program that we've been so well indoctrinated with. And I got to tell you, you guys have known me long enough. You've heard me talk about EA, my daughter and the EA baby, and what EA is. It's 9 and 6 in the mirror, and so on. And my former partner Sue and my daughter. So that was a group that was shredded back February of 2012, right? And so there you have, and of course Emma and Hillary are Leo and Virgo respectively. So there's a Sphinx. When I got to tell you, it didn't really, but it was like, oh yeah, no way. When Robert Morningsky was going through what the ancient Gnostic teachers were, and he had put a bunch of things together, then he pulled out the pieces of it and put it together, and the name of the rule was Iasu, which is E-A-Su, S-U, right? So and that pulled it all together for me, and that was today. And I was like, I just laughed. I thought, you cannot make this up. It's beautiful, and it does. It just gets funnier, and as soon as people lighten up, then they're going to begin to lighten up. And I've got High Star 69er on there, so your mic's open. So jump in with the rest of us here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, how are you? I know that voice.
You were talking about EA before, and I was just thinking there's this big video game producing company.
Yep,
that, EA, Electronic Arts.
Electronic Arts, and they created they were the ones that created Grand Theft Auto, right?
I'm not sure. I know they did Battlefield and Titanfall. Okay,
I'm pretty sure that they were part of that. This is a lot of years ago. When I got into video games for a bit, they were fun. They were fun. But yeah, you're absolutely right. EA Games, Electronic Arts, indeed, huh?
Takes on a lot more meaning.
Exactly. So, lucky you with being able to get taught the real truth and how to define your future, my friend. This is pretty awesome,
Mm-hmm. So awesome.
Are you there, Hi?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I was talking for you there. Pretty awesome, huh?
Yeah.
You're going to be getting the keys to the kingdom right out of the gate, bud. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty awesome. You know, how many kids? And I'm going to say that with the utmost respect because we're all the same age anyway. But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, how many young people do you know are going to have that in your hand right now? Not many. Not many. So there's the beginning of the future right there with you, my friend. So thank you. We do this together, right?
Yeah.
Right on, right on. You know, so I'm going to be working as hard as I can to make it as easy as possible to share how it is to see this in as simple a way as possible. It's easy, but once you see the magic, once you start seeing it, and you already are, obviously, but once you see the magic, it just starts to explode on itself, and it is absolutely magical. And you're what you're going to be going to right now is Hogwarts without the G and without the W. So you have the Hawk-warts. So you have the Hawkeye, right, into the Ort clout. So we'll take the cloud away, the Atlas cloud, and make it Atlas clout. That works better, doesn't it? Atlas clout. I love it. And we have Barb in the call here, I believe.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Hey, baby love, how are you?
Yes. Hi there. I am also very glad to hear that young voice that's in the midst of us because it is wonderful, and I'm going to turn my young ones on to something later on in their stage. But I want them to know I've already introduced them to you and gave them the information so they could turn on whenever they want to. In the event, you know, some children like to be private about the things that they do. So I can't say that they are listening or that they're not listening. But just the thought that they took time to let me give them the number, and they said, okay. Well, then that means to me that maybe not right this minute, but Grandma, one day I will get a chance to listen to you and your friends because, you know, they thinking that you are as old as I am since you're my friend. But once they get into the family, they'll realize that there's all ages of people that are interested in improving their life
This
in
table
a
is
peaceful and calm way.
This table is wide open. All are welcome here.
That is so wonderful. I am so glad.
Well, how does summer?
Yes. And that guy, Robert, that you was just speaking about, what was that last name? I didn't get it.
Robert
the guy
Morning.
with 3-hour program?
Robert Morning Sky.
Say that last name again.
Morning Sky.
Morning
as in the dawn.
Sky.
Yeah.
Just as in Native Indian.
You got it.
Sky. You know, they used to name their children. They will name their children after some type of piece of nature. That is so wonderful. Morning Sky. All right. Well, you know, as David said, keep your eyes to the heavens, and the clouds will tell you why. That's what Earth, Wind, and Fire said that one. To keep your head to the sky, the clouds will tell you why. And I find that to be very good. And living life so far, thus far. And by seeing all these generations, I've seen this generation, this particular one, they are so aggressive, and they're just so boastful. And, you know, it's very, very hard for you to really communicate with them on their aggression way. So I've been turned into the calm one. Can you imagine a bull, Taurus, the bull, being calm?
Yeah.
That's the other side of the mirror. That's the mirror you talk about all the time.
Well, that's the thing, you know.
That's the side.
A fixed Taurus and calm is a beautiful energy. It is a stalwart energy that nothing shifts it, right? And on the other side of it, when it's the stubborn bull, it's in a china shop. So, you know, that is, and that's the energy we all have too, right? Whether that's your sign or whether, we all have Taurus in us, right? So, but when you're talking about it from your perspective, you're becoming the fixed, stable datum. And you are using both the cardinal and mutable aspects of yourself to fine-tune that position. You're fixed on the position, but you're not fixed on the choice. You're standing in a position of truth, fixed, and then you're being mutable and cardinal to adjust your radio dial, your frequency, if you will.
Well, what does the word mutable, what does that mean, Kate? To
well,
be mutable.
Well, it means silence the right. Mutable means to change. Mutability is, take it literally. To be mutable means to be easy, change directions very easily, very quickly. Pretty much the opposite of fixed. But then you take it in its phonics sense. You have mute, which is to silence. Able, which is the ability to do something kind of thing, or able of can enable the right mind. So it's to silence the right. And and that's the problem. There's the opposite. If you're too mutable, you've silenced the right. So what you need to do is to mute, to be able. So I have to draw on where your sign is fixed. Mine being Gemini is mutable, so I have to fix mutability into a fixed position and hold it. So the challenge for me is to be fixed, and the challenge for someone that's fixed is to be mutable. And cardinal, of course, is all about that pure power intent, right? That's the power that comes out of these. And you have all three. This is why you're all 12 zodiac. You bring in all three of these points. So look at the things that you're fixed on, look at the things that you're too mutable on, and look at the things you're putting not enough or too much energy into. Right? So for me, my clue was being a mutable air sign, the airy-fairy Gemini, woohoo, play, right? To get stabilized and hold a fixed position in that mutability. And when I got there, that's when the silence occurred and Abel was able to start throwing roses at me. And I did that simply by learning to play guitar. Not realizing it at the time, I was not aware of it from a meditation standpoint, but there's nothing that takes me further away from everything than just sitting down with a guitar and listening as I play. No thinking, just being. It's pure meditation. Anything you love? Oh, go ahead.
We watched Interstate 60 the other day. I watched it a few times, and I watched it with the kids. Oh my God, how phenomenal is that movie?
Well, I got to meet the Christopher Lloyd character in W. Grant in my experience yesterday. Literally.
We're going to sit down and break it down and get the analogies because there's so many in it. There was I needed time just to integrate it and allow it to circulate and not just take it so literally, but for something that was done 13 years ago, like we say, it's all in the now. Everything is in that movie. I don't know. There's that much in there.
It covers it all.
It covers everything. Yeah,
well, look
everything.
Well, Banton, band tone, which is to get rid of the tone, your own frequency, was the town that had Euphoria as a legal, and you're told this is a highly addictive drug, and it cannot be sold outside the borders of the town, and once you take it, then you become a system slave, So that was a perfect example of society dependent upon the system. And then, of course, you had its other side, Moore law, which were lawyers parasiting lawyers, looking for any excuse to parasite somebody else so that they could sit in their left brain in on the scam. And that is the entire legal system right there in Moore law. And Mr. Cody, that's my star, baby. That's what it means to stand in the truth. Are you ready to pull the pin on the grenade? Don't be pulling bluffs. I already know the bluff. I'm holding the 10 to spades, royal flush here. You think I'm go ahead, bet whatever you want, because I got the highest hand in the deck here. That's called truth. And you will
say what you mean what you say.
Yep. And it's interesting when he's listening to the radio, he's picking stuff out like, everyone's talking about this movie. Well, that's a lie because we're not talking about it. And that's how I hear everything, right? It's like when people say, well, can I ask a question? Well, you just did. Why don't you ask another one? You see, and
That was so cute. I never heard that one, Kate. That's cute.
Well, see what that's doing. It's breaking the program of I need permission to speak. Just ask the damn question. Because if you're brave enough to ask, can I ask a question? Then you're brave enough to ask a question in the first place.
Ooh, wait, you're sharp-tongued. You are very sharp-tongued. That is too wonderful. Go, Gemini, go.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's
here's one for you. I'm reading a book. I love books like you with movies. I get into the analogy for the book. I've read this about 30 years ago, the Clan of the Cave Bear series. Alia talked about it last year. That's what reminded me to go and get it again. I got my husband to download it for me. And I want to read this part to you, which it's in the second book. And there's this guy meeting this woman. This is a book written about our Neanderthal era, and then us as the more advanced, or I don't even want to call it advanced, actually, a different race, and the two cultures and how they're different and how they clash. And this is just one little passage out of it. He's got height with no help, a little tall for a woman, a little short for a man. Bulky, shapeless clothing hid physical details. Even the walk left Jondala wondering. The more he looked and found no answers, the more relieved he felt. He knew of people like that, born into the body of one sex but with the inclinations of the other. They were neither or both, and usually joined the ranks of those who served the mother. With powers derived from both female and male elements centered within them, they were reputed to have extraordinary skills as healers. That's
Imagine
in this
that.
book. Imagine that, and here's my breadcrumb trail. I just finished another book called Iona about these 12 dragon tribes or people. 12, one was missing for over 500 years, and this girl got to present herself she was disclosed as a male, because only males could go to represent these dragons, and she was chosen because they realised that the dragons knew she was female. So the 12th dragon came back, the female came back, and in it her guide was another spirit walker, another soul walker. This is in two books that I just happened to choose, right? Both of them have the two spirits in there. So my breadcrumb trail is in perfect order.
There you have it.
There you have it. I picked it, and then I did a spread. Probably a week or two ago on us at the table. It was the first card was the tower. I remember that clearly. It destroys everything's destroyed of what you think is real at this table to recreate a happiness. It was a path of happiness. It led into the one and the two, the male and female, the magician and the empress, I should say, and then it ended with celebration, the three of what I have in the cards that I have, the three of chalices, which is celebration. I was like, how perfect a representation of this table. And so wherever I go, this table is my consciousness, it's my breadcrumb trails. And to pick two books in a series of how many in the world, to have two spirit walkers, so I'm perfectly on path, and aren't we all?
Exactly. Well, here's the now definition of the Three of Cups, or chalices as you use it, from the Arthurian book. A celebration of good fortune, acknowledging blessings, a joyous social occasion, festivities, bounty, fulfillment, and happiness, the exchanging of gifts, the realization of a dream, good health and harmony, friendship and solidarity, enjoying the company of others, creativity, fertility, and good cheer. That pretty much covers it, eh?
It covers it. That was
That's
in the
all wonderful.
That was
Yeah, well, while we were on tonight, I did a little split, and we're talking about the ending of the system, and the two cards that came up were the five of swords. Let me just check. The 10 of swords came up again as its mirror. Yeah. I laughed. I saw it. Yeah, it's Gawain's penance. So you've got the conflict and troubles of the system, and of course the mirror of it is loss and regret, having to accept limitations and acknowledge errors and judgment. So perfect timing for a full moon Virgo birth, don't you think?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And what you're saying that with everything, time is up. You know how we get when we find out, when, say, we go to the doctor say, well, you only have 3 months to live. So you know how the family and everybody get to treating you better than they ever have and always get you anything that you want, whereas you done had a whole lifetime of me bickering at you or snapping at you, but all of a sudden, because I heard that your time is short, I'm going to put on my best face.
Yeah, that's the two faces that people like to wear, and it always exposes the self-service face, because if you can't treat someone the way you want to while you have all the time in the world, what the hell difference is it going to make if you're going to do that when they don't have all the time in the world? To me, that's just self-serving, ego gratification.
There you go.
Removal of ego guilt, and got to get rid of that regret.
There you go. In the last days, remember how good? Remember that's when you falling back, telling their children, your nieces or your nephew, that was their mother, father that had to go, that made the passage 3 months ago. And as a child growing up, you've seen the same auntie that's for the last 3 months being so kind to my mother, but I've seen years before that same auntie snapping at my mother or bickering at my mother or rejecting my mother for something, and all of a sudden she done flipped. So, and then now the mother's gone, and I'm that little child, I'm that niece, I'm that nephew, and the auntie is telling me, you see how good I was to your mother? And then I'm thinking as a child, yeah, right, in this little short period, in the last 3 months of her life, what about the first 4 or 5 years? I'm only a child, so I've only been on the scene a short while, but I've seen the reflex, the mirror type of thing.
I would just answer it like this. She said, yeah, I noticed how you stopped being such an asshole. What happened? I just hand it back,
That's something that a child would have to create. See, as a child, you don't know how to, form that type of thing,
I know. That's the whole thing. That's why adults are in more cases than not are the real children. And have a look around. I mean, what we deal with mostly it's like in Interstate 60. It's just an elevated version of primary school. It's all the same program running, side by each all the time,
Or maybe the child is the most important one. Jesus already always told us that in order to come by me, you got to come to me as a child. So maybe the adult is really the dummy, and the child is the intellect. We know it's the spiritual intellect because that's our child. Our childness is what gives us that word play in our daily vocabulary. And so like we played when we was younger, and now here we are at the emerald table playing again as older. So maybe the child, maybe we got it backward, is that adult
the name,
to be put up as that.
The name of God is je, play in French. That's why French is the language of the law. They call it the romantic language of the law, but it is. And all the clues are there as well. In the word French, you have the free key, the freedom mind key.
You got all your cussing words. Fuck. That's what they told me. It was a land down in southern France where you're not even welcome in the town unless you come in saying, "What's up, motherfucker? God damn, you still here? What the fuck? You cannot come in this town unless you cuss. Not
now
cuss, C-U-S-S.
Now there's a woman that knows how to sit at this table, right? And the whole game at this table is to remove the polarities on the words, and that's the key to this game. There's your Coptic key. If a word has an effect on you, be it positive or negative, neutralize it. Look for its mirror. And the cuss words are the best example of it because of their extreme polarity. You know, because you can use either one of those words in a positive or negative, but it's typically taken by all as being a negative, which it's not. It is the heart note with intention of unconditional love through spirit. That's what the phonetics of the word, letter by letter, means. So when someone says that, or when I see it written, that's exactly what I take from it, because it's neutral, and I understand that it is the heart note of intent, unconditional love and spirit. And I accept the unconditional aspect of all spirit. So that's why it travels through me. And when you remove the charge on these words, be they polarized positive or negative, that's when they pass through you. They have the urt, the word, it now becomes the urt, not the urt cloud, but the urt clout, because it's neutral. Now you have nothing affecting you. You know, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me, is exactly the opposite. Words, and when you see this Robert Moynihan guy, this whole guy that was running the show here on Leo, he was the god of the commanding god of the word. And this is the spell that's being broken right now. We're removing the last vestiges of that spiritual control as it's trapped in somebody else's definitions instead of our own. And this has been going on for a long time. This game is up. We're done. Finished. Kaput. Not playing anymore. The only way I'm playing is to take it all down so that we get back to our core essence, our true unconditional nature of play. So you're absolutely right. It is all about playing here. Anybody else want to jump in here, guys? Hit 1 on your dial pad if you want to jump in, and on your Skype, open your dial pad up, hit 1. Well, we've got 40 minutes left. I'm not gonna roll over tonight. For those that want to call in, you can call in at 661-467-2401. Of course, you can Skype in through the Blog Talk page. And once again, once you get onto the board, all you have to do is hit 1 to let know that you want in the fray with us here. And don't be afraid, cat. Just get in and start clawing your cause out here, baby. Big thank you to Paul Giovanni, Ninja, the rest of the crew at criticalmassradio.co.uk. And, of course, all you guys that keep this table afloat alongside me. I'm there, too. Much love to everybody, and anything you guys do is only going to flow energy, not money. It's energy. You're flowing intentful energy of a pure nature to the table. So I really want people to start losing this whole idea of what money is. That's the illusion of energy. And if it can own you, it will. With me, I'm the one eye, the single eye. That's the eye I see with. So a great big thanks to everybody. 956, you're back in again.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Great show.
What's on your mind?
I've better watch Interstate 60. It's been on my mind for a week since we went over that tidbit of information when you said that. I think it was a week ago, about the mountain. I mean, you could be on the bottom of the mountain or the lower of the mountain. I don't know. That was that time when I got into Interstate 60, and it's been running on my mind.
There you go.
I'll watch it tonight.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a better view once you're up on top of the mountain, on top of the mirror, right? Tane is mirror.
Yeah.
And then you can see how to get to the calm, the valley, right? That's where you cross.
Yep.
You pierce the veil to go across the veil. The veil that is that glass like ice over the snow as we leave winter, and it's the valley, the veil, the meadow that is underneath it. When you pierce that veil, that's where your meadow is. And I found the meadow. I'm just trying to show people how to get there. And if but one shall awaken, we're all home. So tell me if I'm not determined. Go ahead. I dare you.
You're exactly right.
And I was born in the valley. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and they always said when the tornadoes came, and we got some damage, but it wasn't that major like Oklahoma, more Oklahoma type of damage. We got, I remember my auntie and them sitting up in the house drinking and playing cards around the table when the tornado came, and they were still at the table, and it blew the sides of the house out. No one got injured, but they were still drunk, drinking. They all drunk, sitting around the table, and they looking outside the window now at the street because the side of the house the tornado came and taken it right on off. But they said that we were in the valley, so we didn't get that major Moore type of effect when tornadoes came in the city of the St. Louis area. So that valley, I am glad to know you in the valley. I was born in the valley, and that's a wonderful thing to know.
Yeah, it's you just triggered the Run for the Roses. Born in the valley, raised in the fields of western Kentucky. Yeah, you know the one, right? Run for the Roses.
Put your head over to hear the wind blow. That's the only way. Down in the valley so low. Hang your head over to hear the wind blow. Don't keep it straight up. They say hang it over to hear the wind blow. There's our sound right there.
Well, yeah, and yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's your shadow government.
That's right. I shall fear no evil.
Yeah, the shadow is the shadow government. That is all things regarding legal, all things regarding fictional paper, name, money, all of it. Anything that's involved in the system is all pure death, pure illusion. Right? So that's why for me it's always about transmuting the concept of what people think money is. It is, cash, C-A-C-H-E, which is the spirit key. And that's what gives it its power. And when people put their energy into the physical greed and wealth of it versus the pure energy of it only representing an allegorical spiritual abundance, then you'll see how this whole world is backwards. Those that are the wealthiest here are the poorest in spirit. They're the ones that will not get through the front gates of heaven because you got too many camels, and all of those camels are packed. They've got too many strings on their puppet, the physical realm that is binding them to the literally Guinevere at the stake. Okay, that's the Queen of Ear, Queen of Ear. That's what you need to be, the Queen of Ear. Pull the sword from the stone, and that's the words, right? So I've got a couple of things that I want to work on regarding letters specifically, but if you want to play around a little bit, grab a few words, start changing out the G with a K, remove the hex, and take out the mirror, the D, uppercase or lower, doesn't matter. Take the D out and put a T in there, and reverse the hex of the P by putting Ro, the spirit breath, in there. Now, in Greek, the sound of P is made with pi, right? As in the 3.142857, etc. So you'll understand that is a physical creation. And put that concept in where a P is, and you'll start to see deeper into the words and what it's really doing and how this construct has been built around us. And while this all sounds very complicated, it's not. This is the hard thing for me to do, is how simple it is and trying to convey the concept. And the only way I can show people how to do it is just to tell them to do it. Get their piece of paper out. Have you taken a piece of paper out and wrote an H, then an A on top, then an upside down A, then an H, then an A on top, then an upside down A, to see the DNA strand of, whoa, what a coincidence. It's aha. That's what the aha, what they are those beautiful, oh, wow moments that when you realize the truth and it hits you, what you've done is you've added an AHA to your DNA strand. Not just one piece, that's a whole piece. Aha. And you add that to the top of the last aha moment you had. That's your bridge across this reality. That's the rainbow bride. And the bridegroom, Kroom, there's the bridegroom. Yeah, it's just a coincidence. Indeed, it is. That's where you'll find the bride meeting the bridegroom or the breadcrumb. And keep walking, and that's all it takes. It's just, for me, it's always been about head down and just get into this, to the chagrin of many around me, family, friends, and everything. I got to tell you, I was the one they came to every time when they needed something done in the physical, help this and do that and think this and write that and all the rest of it. But I'll tell you, as soon as this kind of information, no one wanted anything to do with it because it's ruining the drama. It's because it's interfering with the program that's got you running another's program, an imprint. Yep. You are programmed. Break this program. Emotions are the program. The law of truth is pure bliss. Pure bliss.
How's this for an analogy? That book that I was talking about, the Clan of the Cave Bear, in it there are, like the Neanderthal people, that's the evolution of this, and it's coming to its final evolutionary stage of their being in the book, and then the more, I forget what you call us as a race. And the Neanderthal, they could not speak. They weren't able to verbalize. Their language was so intricate with hand movements, body movement, and they could not tell a lie. It wasn't even in their consciousness to. Even if the only place they would maybe go silent if they didn't want to voice something that could cause some sort of disturbance. So here's this tribal culture that they were coming to a close. In the book you see the magician who goes on journeys and into the spirit world, recognizing that was the end of their evolutionary path, and that we were coming along because we were around at that same time, because we could forward think or were a bit more adaptable, where the other tribe were pure on their.
Oh, sounds like you're breaking up a little bit there, Joe. Joe, you there? Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
No, hi. Yeah. Oops. I think we just lost Joe. Okay, she just dropped off there. All right. Well, we'll get her back in and she finish that thought.
I'm gonna see what happened.
Okay, or get her on your headset.
I'll be back.
All right. No worries. We're here. Yeah. It's.
Listen, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Listen, let me tell you how I view the promised land. There will not be any jealousy or hatred, but you must be born again. My name and your name will be displayed. When we get to heaven, we're going to sing and shout all day. This is how I view heaven. Bliss.
Well, that's what we're walking towards. And
nice, Barbara. You're great.
That's the path to immortality. Heaven is here. Heaven and hell is in this now. And what you choose is the path you walk. And by your actions you are known. And I can't stress enough to get out of Babylon. It's, there's the choice. Another round trip, you good? Or you want out this time?
We escaped 3 hours with you, Kate. With you, we know when there are 3 hours, we know we got out of Babylon when we come to this emerald table among each other. So we are in paradise, and if we have to go out there and bite the bullet the other 21 hours, we do what we do. What a girl got to do, what a girl got to do. Lay up there.
You got it.
Well, that's how do you top that? You just kind of go, yeah, okay.
I want to give a shout out to my girl up in Anderson, California, and my young girl down there in Houston, Texas. I mean, Miss Anderson. I'm trying to get up north as soon as possible. As soon as I come from Florida, Hawaii with Mike, I'm coming up to Anderson, California.
All right. I will be with open arms. That would be awesome. I look forward to it.
And Alvida's in the call, too, so just letting you know, Alvida.
Yes, I'm right with y'all. I'm on my way back to Hawaii, too. I'm going to see Mike.
Alvida, you and that 52, girl, that bingo and that 52, I heard you and Kate talking one night, and you were talking about the number 52. Girl, everybody in bingo's on 52 except Barbara. I cuss you all day long. But you were very good. You are very good people around me. You love the elders. You love the elders because they hear 52. Bingo! 200 dollars, 300. Bingo! Offer G 52. That sucker don't even come out. It won't even come out as 25. I said, that's damn out there. And I'm 52.
Somebody needed more than you did. That's all. Somebody needed to love more than you.
And that's what I say. You love your elders because you always give it to the elders. You always give it to them. So I don't really be mad at you. I just be cussing you because I don't be mad at the girl. I just be cussing at you. I keep you on my mind all the time. This morning, got up, getting ready to go up to Baltimore, coming up there to Bingo World. So everything, they open, they bingo in Baltimore all day, all night long. They just close up to clean up the floors and stuff and then reopen. But I'm on my way waiting on my ride. Who come around the corner but a ninja? This guy in his black outfit, face all covered, with a fabulous, beautiful black and white Alaskan Husky. You talking about a beautiful dog. When I done ran up on top of somebody's car to get away from it, but still the beauty was out there. Neddy, what you doing all the way here in Washington, D.C.? Neddy, girl. You don't know who up, but that was a sight to see first thing this morning.
There you go. Now, what is it saying allegorically, right? Have a look at it like that. I mean, these things don't come into your universe just because they're, coincidence. So see where something like that resonates within you. What does a ninja represent? Well, to me, immediately I think of Ninja Bambi, right? CMR. But the ninja is the one that worked in the dark and is typically undefeatable in its element. And it's like you said, it was all about the dressed as in all black as the ninja. Now you said what was the color of the husky?
Black and white.
So there's your yin and yang. Let's get away from the physical. Let's have a look at what it's saying spiritually, energetically. So that is that's the black and the white of the yin and the yang in complete unison. And I got to tell you guys, watch the Robert Morning Sky video, and what I just said will make a lot more sense about.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it again.
Everything in human form with 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and a torso, and that is the norm throughout the universe, and that applies to a dog. It's got the 4 arms, the 4 legs, and the back leg. There's your arms and legs, the torso and the head. Same with the cat, same with the fish, and Robert went into a few of these, but there is the awakening in man on all 4s, which to me symbolizes the infancy of man, still walking on all 4s, with the dark, the absolute creation field, leading the way. So, stand. Get up on the back legs and stand. And whose key or husky? I would say it's creation's key, which is the yin yang. So this is how I observe the world around me. I don't look at the literal. That's too easy to get distracted in. That's watching a movie to be entertained. Entertainment. Enter the mirror of the mind. So like I said at the beginning of the show, when I'm watching a movie, I'm watching the 6 o'clock news. What is it telling me now? What has been confirmed? What do I need to focus on? What do I accomplished? What balances? What do I need to look at? And when you start looking at things energetically, instead of being caught in the deafening symbols and deafening your eyes with them, that's just sound of a higher frequency. I just chose to see with my ears and listen with my heart. Works a treat. Carol asked a question regarding when I say if but one shall awaken, we are doomed. That I say that fairly regular. Well, it's like this. Everything that is created requires agreement, a contract. So if what I'm doing is a good idea, that doesn't make me the one. What that makes me is simply, well, that's a good idea. The one that awakens is the one that gets it. The one that awakens is the one that's going to sit down and do the phonics, to do the breakdowns, to watch things allegorically. If you think it's a good idea and you agree with it, then that empowers all of consciousness. That takes over all of consciousness. That's the dominant frequency. And that's what we've been up against. We've been, taking different interpretations of a literal world that has kept us scattered and blinded in so many fractal directions. It's no wonder we've got this far. It's pretty awesome. So when you turn on the allegorical eyes, when you start seeing the energies, when you start correlating things, like a ninja with a husky, not into the literal, it's pretty freaky to see that, yeah? Absolutely it is. So that's a pretty stark clue to say, look a little deeper. What is it telling you allegorically? What does it tell you about the world and your surroundings and your reality about what's going on? So that can be an indication of your own balancing of the black-white, yin-yang within self, and that you've allowed creation to lead the way.
All right. That's
so
me.
The spirit
Yep.
and the physical, right?
That's right. Because I've come this far by faith, leaning on the teachings of the elders, trusting in their holy words, because they have never failed me yet. So that is what my guide. That is by me having to walk so far to school, I had every day was a Bible school day, Sunday, because the last thing you had, in the Baptist church, you went to Bibles, you went to Sunday school, you went to church, you go back at 6 o'clock in the evening to BTU, which is a Baptist Training Center, and then, so when you wake up that morning, that's all you got. Monday morning, you got the whole day of nothing but teaching. Somebody that told you got to bring this up. Tell me what. If Sunday school teacher give you assignments, the preacher give you assignments, the BTU to give you assignments. So you got to get ready to go back next week. They done gave it to you on Sunday, so you got 7 days. The next 6 days to get. And by them being elderly, you a child. If you want, you got to be obedient unless you want. The pains of being disobedient. And so, therefore, I'm walking to school every day. I got time to contemplate all this. And so that's how I got such a good walk with the teachings of Jesus. They always said, as a child, read the red, because that's Jesus talking directly. Sure, that's the other. You read around it in order to find out the question when the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the so-called disbelievers were around. You would read to find out the question they would ask. They said, put your emphasis on the red because that emphasized Jesus talking. And so all the things that he was saying, they were powerful and wonderful, but they were also soothing and relaxing. Because the first thing he said, give me all your burdens, my yoke. I'll carry you, all those things. Everything he said, he'll do everything. So I'll just kick back and relax. I had no idea that all this complication was in the world until I came south. And I had no idea that I'd always practice. They always said, make sure you're in this world and not of it. So, the world was going. I didn't even know what the word politics meant until I was over 30 years old. When I came down south, politics. I have lived it. I probably heard it, but I didn't know the meaning of it. You know how you say, I know the meaning of something, but then when you don't know, you hear the word, but that don't mean that you understand it because you hear it. And so that's why I found it very easy to be obedient.
Well, that's all the conditioning, and that's exactly what Robert Morningsky gets into in great detail in the first part of that seminar he did. So let's have a look at if Cain thinks he's a good assassin of Abel, well, you should try out a ninja assassin of the divine, and that's going to take Cain out every time. It's time to take down these Cain fields. That's again. To stay very focused on, and it's no effort. It's just a matter of being in the now and observing what's going on, and everything will talk to you. Everything does. Remember, all light is sound. That's all talking to you. Just because you can't hear it, well, you can. It's just your eyes are what you're hearing with, and they create effects. It's like. Look at the examples that get thrown out for the masses day after day after day of the same regurgitated shit, where the news focuses on negative, where history is focused on wars in school, But we got Joe back, by the way, so just wanted to, because we only got about 15 minutes, wanted to get her to finish off her little thing. So if you want to finish off, Joe, there's your window. Are you on there? Yeah, you're breaking up. You're breaking up, hon. I'll tell you what. We only have 15 minutes left. Let me bring you in with me. It's breaking up. I'll bring you in with me. Okay. So just give me a second here. Hang up on your end, and I'll bring you in with me. Okay. Where are we? Gotcha. And. Here we go. One sec, guys.
Well, Kate, do you have a setup? Do you have a board like what's his name? Beaumont. How he have all that equipment in front of him when he's sitting and give his speeches. Savant, Beaumont. Are you set up like that, like in a studio?
No. Are you kidding? If you knew the damage on this planetary psyche that I'm creating with what I'm creating, it's a little Hewlett Packard Mini, okay? It fits in my purse. That's my studio.
Yep.
How we doing?
I was thinking you said that.
And Joe, we got you, baby. I'm hoping it's better coming
in your
through.
purse.
Yeah, I can. I can carry it in my purse. I've done it many times. Joe, are you there?
It's just like that picture that Mary Rainbows did. Oh, I'm going out, and you're wearing a purse. I see that picture. I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
it's just like that. Oh, I'm going out.
I'm going out. I'm going out to change the world. I'll be right back.
Hey, can you hear me now?
There you are, Joe. Yes. You were there, Joe. Are you there?
Yeah. I've just walked where my son is.
Joe,
hopefully he can hear me.
Can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Get me on yours, Joe.
Hear you now.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Where did I get up to in the... Do you want me to restart?
Restart, because we got 13 minutes, and we'll make sure that you get it done before I roll out of here. So start again, Joe. Anytime. Are you there, Joe? Oh, just internet connection problems with Joe. So, there she is again. Are you there?
I'm going to get her to talk on my one.
Okay, thanks, Hi. Is it Hi or Jai?
That's Jai.
Jai, okay. When I see the J there, I always think of Hi from Hi Alai, right? So, Hi, Jai. It's all good. Go ahead, Joe.
In the book, The Valley of the Caves, there's two tribes. There's the Neanderthal tribe. They are coming to the end of their evolution. They speak in language that is purely physical, hand movement, body movements, and they cannot tell a lie because they don't even perceive of it, because it would harm the whole. They know their whole. So they're seen as one group, one clan. The whole expression, the intricate way of communicating, is completely truth. They cannot tell a truth. They can't know a truth. They cannot. They'll say they're silent if they don't want to harm another, but they also recognise their intention is not to as well. It's just to be silent. The other, then there's girl that lives with them. They've adopted since they found her when she was young, who is from our evolutionary path. So it's a really good contrast to see her. She lives with them and learns all their way and becomes part of them, even though she doesn't look anything like them. She ends up and meets her own people, which speak language, a verbal language, that she's fascinated. Like her journey of recognizing people are actually telling a lie with their words. We can see in their body language. She's so tuned into it that she knows that language, what they're saying and what they're doing, is completely a lie. So I look at it from that path. Here's this innately oneness, sort of connected era that we had is completely gone. Basically, they're not able to evolve beyond where they are anymore. And you can see that by their spiritual journeys that they go. They actually go on ayahuasca journeys, and they can see that their evolution is coming to an end and ours is coming to a fore. And he actually takes her on this journey where she goes to the future, and you see, they're birds in the sky with no wings. There are something out of the land that are not part of the land, which are like buildings. And when they recognise this, old tribe says, well, at least we've left the planet in abundance, and we haven't destroyed it, and if anything, we've brought this consciousness to it. Hopefully this new tribe can do the same. When I look at that as an analogy, we needed to learn to speak and not tell the truth, to have this contrast. Whatever this contrast is, we're now coming to an age where we can see this other tribe where it was, we can see what our verbalization is not our innate truth. And we don't even know it anymore. These people who are telling lies, they didn't even know that they were manipulating. And she did because of the body language. So that's us coming back with this phonics. How do we be conscious of our innate truth? And the fact that telling a lie is destroying all. It's destroying our own soul and the soul of our own evolution. So, and I look at it and I go, well, we've come to the end of our evolution now. If we don't evolve beyond where we are, we're destroying ourselves. So that's why it's come to an end. That book shows it clearly. We've come to the end of our evolution as well, because we haven't left this place at a better place. We've actually got to see the duality of the two. That book shows me clearly the duality. And now we've got the option to resonate with truth and make sure our phonics, our verbal resonation is the truth.
Exactly. And it's the choice is within. And the body languages that people have, it's so very, very easy to see what is going on in the intention. And that's my intuitive that I lean on. And you can see it in body posture, body positioning, because as within, so without. And it takes a master of perception to hide that body language. That is utter control with a malfeasant intent to do that. Whereas, most of humanity just isn't able to do that. So the intent is always visible based in the body's gestures. Where someone is looking, where they're looking up, looking down, looking at you, talking at you, or talking to you, or talking with you, arms crossed legs, closed off symbols, and that to me is exactly what that you've just described in being able to read the intuitive. And that's when you're hearing with your eyes. You're hearing the intention based on the positioning of that energy. And take the other clue that when you look at it from one energy having an experience of its mirror opposite physically, and that conflict that's within there, bring that into balance to know that you are both, that we're one. This is, to me, that is the greatest separation from the all, to be one or the other instead of both as one. And so that to me is the culmination of the Trinity. That's the free will choice that we all have, and that's the free will choice that you are giving away when you consent to be anything in the system. Spiritual contract, physical, doesn't matter. When you consent to any of it, you are of the world. You are of Babylon. And this is not the time to be taking baby steps any longer. You know, the train wheels are off. The bike is running full steam ahead. And, you know, I really can't put it any plainer than that. This table is, I know this is the cutting edge of the consciousness. We're the ones forging through this because this is the only table of its kind that I've ever experienced. And not because I'm hosting. It's got nothing to do with that. Because I've dealt in all of the other types of things and conspiracies and legal. I've done all those things. And it's through exposing the frauds and the hidden things within those that brought me to this point, and the rest of us having exposed those things within ourselves and the world outside of us has brought you here as well. You're not here by chance. You're not here by coincidence. You're here by a free will choice. You see, I don't come knocking on your door saying, tune into my show tonight. I say, I'm on the air tonight. And I say my show just because it's a literal thing to say, no big deal. You know what it is. So, no, people that come here come of their own free will choice. Those are the points of consciousness that are reaching out for themselves to save themselves. And in the process of doing that, we come together collectively in that selfishness to reinforce that and make back to the if but one shall awaken. It's a good idea, and the more that we get agreeing with the good idea, the more power gets placed into it from source, from the neutral position, where the dominant frequency takes over all other frequencies, and all other frequencies must come up to match it or fall away forever. I'm good either way. It's a win-win scenario. You know, let's just say the garbage, we're taking out the garbage in our reality, in this consciousness. And those that want to cling to the garbage, well, that's the baby out with the bathwater. And it's all going out. At the end of the movie, Jack Reacher is exactly how I see Babylon. There is no negotiating with evil. There is no negotiating with a deceiver. There is no negotiating with an ego. You do what Jack Reacher did. You let the ego prove it one last time, and then you put one between its eyes. And you end it forever. And that's, I've put one between its eyes. I'm done. Done. Evil, by definition, must destroy itself, and the joy of the evil destroying itself was it gave me all the tools I needed to do that. Like I said, I just drive a bulldozer. Push it along. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yes. That's easy. Once we obey. See, you're telling us information that we can obey and follow, and we will be on the same wavelength as you. No more egos at all. And when I think about when we play, you don't play. When you play, the word don't even come into your mind because you're playing. You're having too much fun.
You get a here and a ha there. And again, the only one you obey is the benevolent you. You do not grant anything outside of self, as you are all. That's when you're going to return to the fullness of all. And again, I mean, when you get there, it's like there's no need for any of these control mechanisms, militaries, police forces, courts, and governments, and all the rest of it. Those are just all armed babysitters. and they can't even babysit themselves. And the ones running that part of the program are the malfeasant aspect of ourselves. It's going to be wiped out. It is wiped out forever. It's done. There's no going back on this. Like I say, to the death, baby. In order to truly know life, one must be willing to give all to have it. It's up to you. You want immortality? There's your path. I'm done playing.
Therefore, you live on and on and on. Whereas we've been trained to think that you live until you die. But if you're in immortality, that time will never come. So that just gives you more playtime and more playtime and more playtime. And taking it and more playtime. So I enjoy that. I find obedience to be rewarding when you, like you said, it's all within myself. I choose. Myself choose to listen to Kate's philosophy and the way that she likes to live her life. There are things in your life that you do that I really enjoy. Your phonics, I don't mess around. I am an English major, and so I'm not messing around, dropping letters, putting letters on. It took me too long to understand James Funk and Wagner. That was the dictionary of our household, and it took me too long to understand those guys and the meanings of their words, to be hooked on phonics. Now, that's what that had I studied that hook on phonics, I would be able to play with you, and that phonics came all the way, because it seemed like to me that must be the technique in which they were teaching children to learn.
Well, that's all it is, and when you get into the true Phoenician, that's when you mate the red and the blue to create the purple people that we all are, pure light, pure love, pure ultraviolet, so we move up the frequency. All right, guys, well, listen, we're out of time here. We're down to 10 seconds, so... I'm going to say I love you all, and that's all unconditional. And
love you.
Here to serve unconditionally.
All right,
love you, Kate.
So we'll catch you guys tomorrow night.
All right.
Universe permitting. It's all good. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right. Love you guys.
Good
night.
Right.
Love you guys.
Good night.
Night.
Stay the course.
Love.
Stay the course.
Stay the course.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Hello.
This is why I look to the outside to see what is resonating back. To make sure that I'm staying on the right course, because I'm going to use only what feels right, and most of the time what feels right flies right in the face of what this insane world would deem to be normal. So I chose to not be that. I chose to look at it from a 180-degree perspective. So I look at this planet as being completely insane, with a bunch of egos that are schizophrenic, imprinting egos that are schizophrenic, watching the chaos unfold, watching the emotional dramas unfold, and stand back in awe of it going, interesting, knowing why. It's simply an out-of-control emotional program. And the ego will never get this until you get a grip on it. And if you can't get a grip on it, well, enjoy the round trip. That's just kind of how it works. So the end game isn't for everybody. And I do like to motivate people with that as well. You got a choice. You want to walk through and get out, or are you happy doing the Groundhog Day and having this as yet another deja vu moment for you, where I've heard this before. Yeah, me too. You see, the point of consciousness you're at now, in the now that you're in, means that you're still in the game. You're still in the now timeline. And what you do in the now timeline determines whether you stay mortal or go immortal. And that's two paths. So you can choose whichever one you want. The more you cling to the physical and the survival and whatever else that is binding you, until you can accept the simple truth of physical, I haven't got time for it. I just don't. It's, again, illustrative of the how do you put this? Physical to me is only a representation of the energies, and I only see the energies. Everything that I see around me is, yes, it's very physical, it's very real. It's very easy to prove. All you got to do is tap on something. But don't get stopped at that.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box on a full moon Sunday evening. Full moon in Virgo. One of my signs, actually. I have a Virgo moon, so just I keep track of the coincidences with the realities that are going on, true to form. Interesting post, wonderful post from Equicentric. Yes, you. Yeah, it was a good post. I love this because I just was quickly reading through it and saw all of the now moments that are occurring. So I'll go through it and give my rendition of the same thing. It was a post that was put in the Skype room, in one of the Skype rooms anyway. I will do my best to share. So it's a full moon today, yes, and it's a full worm moon. And we all know what a Trojan worm is. It's the horse that goes into the computer, and just like Trojan War fashion, remember it was Helen of Troy, and Helen was the sister of the trinity of her siblings, Castor and Pollux. So just another coincidence. Now, March, as the temperature begins, remember March is also Mark, which is Welsh for horse. We're dealing with the mark of the beast, the law of Mark. We've illustrated so many ways how the mark of the beast appears, and humanity is walking around with the mark of the beast, which on Friday night I was able to, live on air, show the mark of the beast, what it looks like when it's not there. And those that want to try to control others lose all power on all levels. That's what it means to be your own master. I don't follow orders. I don't give them. I don't need to. I just choose my path as I see fit, one of no harm, and which is always open to conjecture, but that's typically the realm of the ego. And I'm sure many of you are looking around and noticing some very profound changes in the world. Things like aircraft missing and bankers suiciding, and it's rather interesting to see the effects of the causal of the truth, that when enough truth gets exposed, that's how evil gets destroyed. Evil must by definition destroy itself. So as I always say, I like to give it a little push. I happen to be driving a rather large bulldozer, and I push. That being said, I had an opportunity to watch a good portion of Robert Morningsky's video that I've been talking about, and it is, for me, it's beyond mind-blowing because of the correlations, things that I've seen bits and pieces of this one before, but in this new unit of now, it is an entirely different perspective, of course, because as we get our aha moments and build our universe bridge of H to A, upside down A to H to A to upside down A to H to A, etc. That's the aha moments. No, it's not a coincidence. It's a coincidence to show that's how you build your DNA bridge. And only with the truth can you build that bridge. The more you seek the truth, the more aha moments you get, the more DNA bridging you get, and you get it returned. The stuff that's turned off, this is how you turn your DNA back on spiritually. The DNA, as you know, is everything in this reality is energy. It's created energy. It's the effect from the magnetic source. So yes, in the physical, it's an electric universe, but it's all created from the magnetic source. And everything you see, experience in the physical sense is all effect. And we create cause and effect back and forth in the physical sense without ever, paying any attention to the spiritual nature of it. I could get into lots of different scenarios as far as knowing when someone has actually digested truths that are contained that I've found anyway, and I know a lot of people resonate. I get it's simply put, my intention. I know my own heart. I know the benevolence within me, and I know my intention, and not one single being outside of me can tell me otherwise, because, well, I am this point of view, not yours. So that's where I sit. That's where I stay. And like I said, I don't need anyone to believe anything I say, and I would challenge everyone to not believe anything I say and go and see for yourself. I would spend a bit of time on the website, kateofgaia.wordpress.com, do some reading and see what you find that resonates with you, because those are things written, directed to I use the physical to read it, but it's directed straight to the spirit. So full worm moon, there goes the Trojan into the mark of the beast. March is also Aries, Mars, Aries, which is the ram, and also Aries, the god of war, Roman god of war. Same sound, two different intents, right? Arise or ares, it's all in the phonics, guys. I can't stress this enough. Anyway, so as March, the temperature begins to warm, things are heating up, and the ground begins to thaw. Earthworm casts appear, which is the indication of the shedding of the old and the new life coming forth, and I'm talking the new spiritual life. Always remember, I'm speaking from an anagogic, outside-the-box perspective to see what effects are being played out in the physical that are mirroring the cause of the spiritual changes. Everything that happens in the physical is the effect, and people get caught up in it by getting into the dramas and staying at effect within the effect instead of looking within themselves and starting to see from a slightly broader perspective. So the earthworms cast off, earthworm casts appear, heralding the return of the robins. Oh yeah, absolutely. The more northern tribes knew the moon as the full crow moon, or as you would see the root of fulcrum, which is balance. The fulcrum is the center point, right? So the full crow, and of course we've talked about the crow or the crown, allegory of the magic, that when you start seeing it, you start seeing the cosmic joke for what it is. This is the Crow N, or the Crown Corporation, which is allegorized in when you give up your consent. And it's all about spiritual. If you agree with something, you're in contract. It doesn't matter what piece of paper you use. If your intent is to do something, you've already sealed the contract with your intent. That's why I keep my intent to me. I intend only the things that I need for growing, because I know the more I take care of what it is inside me, it takes care of more of what's outside of me. So that's where the service to all really comes into play. So it's a selfish selflessness and a selfless selfishness within. It's the mirror opposite of each other, making it neutral. So the full crow moon, right? Fulcrum. And that's what we're in right now. We're right at the tip point, and this game is done, because here we go into St. Pat's, driving out the serpents. Well, we're going to drive them all out for a change, instead of what the original intent of that was. The serpents are gone. When the cawing of crows, there's the cause of crows, crone, signaled the end of winter, or the full crust moon, because the snow cover becomes crusted from thawing by day and freezing at night. That is the shimmering of the veil. That is where the veil is most fragile, between worlds. Start smashing it. Smash that. It's the thinnest veil, so push through. The full sap moon, marking the time of tapping maple trees, is another variation, right? And all of these things will all play into the same story, and it's only one story. You're just playing out your role in your particular version of that. To the settlers, it was also known as the Lenten moon, and was considered to be the last full moon of winter. Yes, it is. This is the last full moon of winter, winter of the spirit.